One day Mr. Peters was driving in his car when he heard crying. He stopped to investigate. He walked through the forest of birch trees and climbed down a bank to a canal. He saw a swan caught in the thorns of the bank of the canal. Mr. Peters released the swan and put it back into the water. The swan floated back to the bank of the canal and turned into a little man, all in green, with a glistening gold crown and long beard. "I am the king of the forest, and I will grant you 3 wishes for saving me." The king of the forest warned Mr. Peters that the wishes never turned out very well. "I have yet to hear of a human who made good use of his 3 wishes. They mostly end up off worse than they started." The king gave Mr. Peters 3 wishes in the forms of 3 leaves. For his first wish, Mr. Peters wished for a wife as beautiful as the forest. A beautiful woman appeared. "Are you the wife I wished for?" asked Mr. Peters. "Yes, I am. My name is Lida," said the woman. They drove to a church where they were married. After the wedding, he took her to his cottage in a lovely valley. He showed her the bees in white hives, his cows, and the flowers. Lida liked everything, especially the river that ran near the cottage. They were content together, but as time passed, Mr. Peters knew that Lida was not happy. One evening, Mr. Peters saw Lida at the river's edge hugging a swan. Tears were running down Lida's face. When Mr. Peters asked what was wrong, Lida explained to him that the swan was her sister. He realized that Lida had been a swan before being turned into his wife by his first wish. He offered to turn Lida back into a swan, but she said no because she was worried about who would take care of Mr. Peters. Mr. Peters was distressed, but he tried to make Lida happy with drives in the car, playing music for her, and giving her beautiful clothes. As he watched the sisters together, he knew Lida would never be happy as a human. He kissed her goodbye and used his second wish to turn Lida back into a swan. The king of the forest appeared and told Mr. Peters, "I warned you about the wishes and how they never work out. Now what will you do? Will you turn yourself into a swan or turn Lida back into a woman?" asked the king of the forest. "Neither," said Mr. Peters. The next day, Mr. Peters saw 2 swans in the river near his cottage. One has a gold chain on her neck like the one he gave Lida as a wedding present. He realized the swan was Lida. Mr. Peter and the swan stayed together for a very long time and were very content. As Mr. Peters grew old, the swans were always near him. One fall day, a passer-by hears the mournful sounds of a swan singing, and he went to check on Mr. Peters. He found him peacefully dead in his bed, with a smile of great happiness upon his face. His hands lay clasped on his chest, holding a leaf and a white feather.